I didn't hit record. Good thing you showed up live. All right, well, if you're just tuning in from the recording here for the replay, so sorry, you didn't miss that much, but sometimes things happen and then I don't record at all. But hey, we haven't gotten far talking about the bundle. All right. So the flyer letter being the first one, that one is an easy one. Send it out once every quarter. It's not complicated to do. It is literally a printer. And it's literally just getting it out the door. This might be even with you stuffing envelopes. This might be with you walking the neighborhood, right? It doesn't have to be complicated. Pulling these stats, that's an hour in your MLS, okay? Are these stats from a hot sheet? These stats for me are from my MLS. So I pull data for the last 90 days. So I look what's closed, since this is an October one, I look what's closed between July, right? Yeah, July 1st and September 31st. So I'm pulling what's closed in 90 days. Again, whatever your time window is, you have the MLS. Everything's in there, right? So next up, figured we're going to venture into our postcard. So there's two postcard designs that we have inside our marketing templates. And again, you see here, common theme, right? Market stats. If a letter or a flyer is not what you want to do, you're like, no, I'm here for the postcards. I like postcards. They're easy. They're fun. I'm going to do that. There is a market activity report that is Halloween-y themed, so spooky themed if you want. And this particular one is, again, using the same data that we just talked about on our letter, okay? So you're just looking at, okay, what has closed, what's going on here, and it just translates over onto this postcard. By the way, all the designs we do are straight out of Canva. And here's a little hack. If Canva lining up is making you all like crazy, like it does me, taking a picture of a Google spreadsheet or an Excel spreadsheet is super easy to just drop an image in that's like perfectly aligned. Okay, like that was one of the things that drove me crazy for quite some time as I was doing statistic mailers, until I'm like, hey, why don't I just take a screenshot of my spreadsheet and put it in as a picture? Because now everything is lined up, everything's organized, everything is clean. I can color code my cells, right? Doesn't get much better than that. So there's your little bonus tip on, I don't want to put the data in or have a typo in it, right? Well, if you can export it in your MLS, just work from the spreadsheet, take a picture, insert it into your postcard. Really, really easy. The other one here is an 8.5 by 5.5 that we will be sending out to our sphere every single month. I do send a postcard out to my sphere. This one is a fun one, who is most like a pumpkin, and it's just for them to point or to total up the points, right? It goes with for everything orange or white you're wearing. All right, well, right now I don't think I'm wearing anything orange really or white, so 0 points for me, I guess. If you're wearing a costume, okay? Well, not wearing a costume. My son was wearing a dinosaur costume yesterday. It was actually really cute. He was like running around in a little dinosaur costume that was like a blow up. If you watched a Halloween movie already this season, right? 2 points. Again, this one here is just a fun way for them to engage with you from your past clients. We've been sending out these this year alone. I think my repeat and referral business is 6 figures based on simple postcards. And it's just one of those things that I think a lot of agents don't utilize postcards for enough. Instead of doing check-in calls, right, or text messages, I just send a postcard. Why? Because it doesn't make them feel bad. I always tell people, when you check in with somebody and they don't return your message, they don't return your phone call, right? It just is making people naturally feel anxious. They're like, oh, I didn't get back to her. And people feel bad if they're not answering back, right? How many times have you thought about, oh, I really needed to, to talk to her or answer her back, and you just didn't feel like it, or you were busy with other things. And that feeling of feeling bad is not something we want in our past clients. Hence, I use postcards. They do not trigger a response needed. response from them, right? And it's just a simple reminder of like, hey, by the way, this is also fantastic if your SOI, your sphere of influence, is getting these. Why? Because to your sphere of influence, in many times, you are just auntie, you are the crazy, the crazy cousin. It doesn't matter who they see you at. They don't necessarily see you as the professional you are because they only encounter you at family birthday parties and you like to have a good time, right? So this is a great way for you to just show up in a professional manner in front of people and they're like, oh yeah, that's right. She's actually really successful in what she does for a living. Okay. There's this quote from Ryan Serhant. I attended a direct mail marketing conference and he actually said, the perception alone with postcards is if you can still afford it and you haven't gone all digital, that means you're still doing great. Again, perception equals reality for people, right? When people see like, oh my gosh, this person's actually spending money on postcards, which aren't free, like a social media post or like a text message with unlimited data plans, right? This person is actually doing good in business. Ever thought about this correlation? I thought it was just so interesting. And it stuck with me pretty much ever since. And yes, Ryan Serhant, for those of you that don't know him, huge, giant social media, right? Everything that he does seems to be online. He actually is a huge believer in direct mail. It's just the thing he doesn't really talk about. And if you come through my boot camp, you saw a clip of him talking about that. All right, moving on from here. The 4x6 postcard. I love these 4x6 postcards for the simple fact that there's a lot of trunk or treats coming up. And these trunk or treats, trying to move my little Zoom window, these trunk or treats are really not there for you to hand out business advice, right? However, these trunk or treats are really great for you to hand out little takeaways. So we have here a 4x6 postcard, but you can also duplicate them and just use them as tags for when you are hosting any sort of Halloween-y event in the next couple of weeks. Again, trunk or treat is a very popular one for any schools that are out there, gyms, right? And they're always looking for sponsors, right? For vendors. So when you're struggling to come up with something to give away, paper is almost like next to nothing to create. These 4x6 postcards, you can print 4 of them on one sheet of paper if you can print in office. So they're very cost affordable. And it's just a matter of you putting these things into play, right? Again, the Halloween one, would you rather? This is another version just for past clients, but you can also use them during these events. Again, there's a lot of them because really Halloween marketing is a lot of fun. We've done these here. We've ordered scratch off stickers from Amazon. So, the ones where you're like, scratch off and you can just give away a couple things right here. Halloween, would you rather? Again, the goal is for your postcard to just stick around a little longer, right? Your face to be on the counter a little longer. Trick or treat in a graveyard at midnight, or say Bloody Mary 3 times in a dark, scary mirror, right? Would you rather wear a pumpkin on your head for a day or talk in a ghostly ooh for 24 hours? A lot of these are just fun ones. If you don't like them, again, Canva, you can just change it to something that feels more like you, which is the nice part about it. So 4x6 postcards, easy marketing, and these sizes are pretty affordable since they do send with a postcard stamp. All right, the door mailer. This one has been a fun one. I don't even know. I think I had an agent in my office show me something similar, and I'm like, these are fun. So they came about, and I wish I had one here, but they really print on a cardboard. Let me see if I have. They print on like a cardboard piece of paper. And the way they're laid out is just simply so you can, fold in the doors essentially on both sides. I like to have like 10 of them at my open house, right? Just 10 doors standing. It's an easy way for them to come through my open house and be like, hey, take a door, right? And again, giving away paper is the easiest way for you to just have somebody take you with and be like, oh, what is this? Now, in this case here, it's no tricks here, just closings, right? It's all about thinking about selling. If you still have some left over after your open house, go ahead, put them in an 8x10 door mailer and give them to the neighbors, okay? The door mailer is a manual piece just because folding in these doors is, not possible by a machine as far as I'm aware. Again, if you come across something that can automate this one, let me know. But generally speaking, you're not going to have thousands of these that you're doing. So again, pretty doable. The inside is a simple, hey, by the way, your neighbor's house, right, sold. And if you're wondering what your home is worth, go ahead and have it here. For me, that's oftentimes my own listings that we're doing. If you don't have your own listings, I always say, hey, check with your broker in charge, manager, whoever, that is, and say, hey, do we have an office listing in this area that I could leverage? Because at the end of the day, all listings belong to the broker, right? So I would just check with them and see what they say. All right, the door hanger. This one here is my pet peeve. Some of you guys know I am not a fan of door hangers. I always feel like they're flimsy. They don't stick and stay where they're supposed to be. I don't know why there's not a better option for door hangers, just like, I don't know, like a sticky dot behind and put them on the door. But door hangers obviously have been around for a long, long time. So we, again, created one based on the one question that people have. How much can I get for your home, right? We just talked about the fact that this is the start. October is the start of Q4. Q4 marketing we're starting to put into place now, because when you are getting things lined up, it takes a minute to get things customized. It takes a minute to get door hangers printed, right? And we do not want you to feel behind. So the best way I always describe it is when you go to the grocery store, have a look at the holiday section to figure out what are people currently promoting. The store is already promoting Halloween. The store is already promoting Christmas. Okay. So if you are looking to see, okay, when should I start my marketing? Go to the grocery store and you will find out what type of marketing you should be focusing on, because they know their cycles, right? And when the grocery store shelves are starting to get filled with Halloween stuff, it is not too early to start Halloween marketing. So, or fall marketing for that matter, right? The past client drop-in card, this here is actually what started me staying in touch with my clients via mail initially, and I did it manually. So these little cards are perfectly sized for a number 10 envelope. And the way it works is I just printed 3 of them per paper. Okay, so let me get my paper back here. So if you print 3 of them per paper, it's an easy one to just cut it. And then I put a little scratch off ticket on there. So wishing you a lot of treats and no tricks this season. This was an easy way for me to connect with my past clients. And this is for you if you're just starting out and you have nothing in place for your past clients. This is a fantastic one you can do right there. Now, you can also expand obviously to your seller leads as you are growing your farm. You could include them and just give them something extra, right? That is a matter of building your reciprocity. But a simple one doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be a lot. You can put all your branding stuff on the back. My back was blank other than my company disclaimer and everything on there. But other than that, this was it. Nothing crazy on the back. Printed one-sided. Again, I print in Office. So for those of you saying, okay, how can I print it? Canva can actually print. Again, if you can't print in Office, right? Office Depot can print, Office Max can print, Minuteman can print. You can order these on vistaprint.com and they will be called rack cards. This is actually what we started with. I started with farming, but a couple different ways to go about it, right? Just make a plan. If that's what you want, order 100 of them. You can use them next season as long as there's no dates or anything on it. So next one is a note card. And I gotta be honest, I've gotten away from note cards a lot more just because handwriting note cards is not aligning quite well with what we've created on an automated level. But a lot of you guys are in the manual farming stages, so we did include it here. And for those of you that are non-manual and want to do note cards, example, we sent these to GeoCentral and it's all automated. And instead of saying hi neighbor, it would say their name. So everything would be like mail merged into it. It's kind of cool. But this one here, sorry about the out of the blue card, but your Halloween decor is spectacular or spooktacular. See what I did there? Every year I have neighbors ask me if I can tell them the best homes to go and see. Would you allow me to highlight your home to our neighbors with my neighborhood newsletter? You can text me yes or no. This is my cell phone number. Thanks for making the Halloween season extra fun. And this is really here for a couple reasons. And you can do it in other formats. Obviously, you can do a postcard with it. You can do a letter with it. But what does it do? First up, it compliments them on something that they did for the neighborhood, right? Think about the Christmas light contests. How many of you like to go see Christmas lights and you don't want to just drive around aimlessly? You like to have a destination, a map, right? Somewhere to go. Well, turns out that there are some people in this world that really, really prefer Halloween over Christmas. And they go all out. Their front yard turns into like a haunted mansion, right? Everything is like amazing, the lights, and you just walk by and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know where to look first. Think about the giant skeletons that Costco has been selling. And sending them this note card is such a simple way for you to get them to communicate with you. Now they're going to text you, yes or no. Now you just generated a person that says, hey, yes, absolutely, feel free to, let the neighbors know, because people decorate their front yard so other people notice, right? So now you're starting to build more people inside your neighborhood up on your list. And this is a simple, hey, by the way, I have a final map, right? Text it back to them, get them involved. It's relationship building with what is currently going on in your neighborhood. And then what are we doing after we compile a bunch of homeowners in our neighborhood that have spooky yards? We're going to go and blast it all over, right? Our social media. And we're going to tell the neighbors, oh my gosh, I have an entire list of the top 10 decorated houses in our neighborhood. If you want the list, just let me know below. What did we just do? We just created a lead magnet, right? Drop your email, opt in, you return the map. Pretty simple. So this alone is something that I think is easy enough to do. This is something that we're trying out inside our neighborhood this year to just see, okay, can I get, 10 houses together that have been decorated nicely? And we'll see where it goes. So if you have been wanting to figure out how can I lead gen, right? How can I get a list built? This is a great list builder because list builders help you do a couple things. They help you start cutting down your cost on communicating with neighbors. They help you also promote listings that you have in the neighborhood. Hey, do you know anybody that wants to move in here, right? They also open up referral opportunities. Hey, thanks so much for featuring us for Halloween. By the way, our friends have been looking to move and they're currently considering our neighborhood and also this, and this area, right? It's all about the awareness of what you do. You can obviously take it a step further and say, hey, by the way, if you want to vote on the top 10 houses, right, go ahead. And then you can give them a little price if you want to take it a step further. You don't have to. This is simple from what it is. Tanya is not paying attention. No, just kidding. I'm calling you out on it. What does the note card say? Again, you have that in your note card catalog as well, so you will have access to it. But what does it say? One more time. Sorry about the out of the blue card, but your Halloween decor is spooktacular. See what I did there? Every year I have neighbors ask me if I can tell them the best homes to go and see. Would you allow me to highlight your home to our neighbors with my neighborhood newsletter? You can text me yes or no. Here's my cell phone. Thanks for making this Halloween season extra fun inside the neighborhood. Again, you're not doing any work. I'll tell you in a minute what I'm doing with it, just because I like to automate things and I'm not going to have this done manually anymore. I'm just going to be push of a button, send out the thing. But this is when you drive through the neighborhood, you'll notice who's been decorating, right? So creating a list is an easy one to do. All right. Let's see. I think my slides are stuck. Let's start over. There you go. All right, I'm back. The Popeye. The Popeye carton comes in two different ways. And the Popeye is something that, again, I don't do a whole lot because Popeyes, in my personal opinion, are not very affordable. How many of you have done Popeyes before, right? How many of you have spent more than $3 per piece on them? Easy. How many of you have spent more than $5 a piece on them, right? Popeyes itself are cute. However, they are expensive. I like to stretch my marketing dollars. So again, I would be looking at Popeyes. The way I look at Popeyes is this something that I can have at one of my events? More on that in a different book. But is this something I can have at my events for event attendees? Because I don't think I would do Popeyes to my entire neighborhood. The concept behind it is cute. The business strategy behind it is, in many cases, not really, I don't know, business minded, because giving away stuff, most of us are in a small business level where you are not there to just go out and spend $500 to give people stuff that they either throw out or don't lead to anything. Now, if people take a bigger action, like, hey, they're coming to my event, right? They're committing with their time to me. I will have a table with Popeyes for the kids, right? I will spend money there because this is where my relationships are actually deepening. But I will not just give away stuff for the sake of giving away stuff. I hope that makes sense. So that's why we include the Popeyes. We don't necessarily include them for the fact of go plaster your neighborhood with expensive things that are going to make you broke and go in debt. We use them to really have them strategically at the things that we're hosting to get these attendees to spend more time with me. Okay. And simple one here to put in is like a little letter, right? Thanks for attending. Here's your home values for the last, right? 90 days. All the way on the front that we talked about, the letter, the flyer, sticking that in there, put a little keychain in there and be like, hey, let me be the key to open doors for you. Whatever. Make it cute. Don't overthink it. There's a second version of it. Again, this one here I had personalized to me. So I had it, I think mine is actually black and orange versus orange and black. But this is a candy carton. And I want to say Market Dwellings is the company. So for those of you saying, oh, where'd you get that one? I want to say it was Market Dwellings that I got it at, customized it. They are about $2 a piece. Okay. So that is going back to my entire Popeye mentality, which $2 a piece. And now I haven't even thought about what I'm going to put on the inside. So let's say I'm pretty frugal on the inside, a business card, a keychain, a this, or that. It's another, dollar. Okay, now I'm at $3. So you see how this is just adding up so fast. So would I give them away at an event or at a Halloween picture event? Would I give it away at a trunk or treat? Probably there a little bit more because I'm face to face, right? I'm building better relationships than just handing them out to everybody. But again, you always got to keep in mind, is it an investment? Is it an expense? To me, giving it away to everybody under the sun because we like giving gifts, that's not, I mean, that's nice. That's great that you are like that, but that doesn't necessarily mean it will result in business or it will help your bottom line. All right, we talked about all the marketing pieces. So there was a lot of different pieces in there. What we're going to talk about next is really how do you structure your calendar to figure out what to do when, how do you take the guesswork out, right? Because so far it was just a spew of here's all the stuff, here's different things. Let's organize it and let's put it into a system. And this plan, by the way, I've been following for years. And it breaks down into prep week, week 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now you start seeing, why are we actually talking about October marketing in September? We're talking about it because you need time to prep. Let's say you're going to go for these cute cartons because you have a trunk or treat event coming up. Your order time will vary between 1 to 3 weeks. So if I tell you in October, right, oh, look, here's a cute little carton, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. and your event is in 2 weeks, you're going to be stressing out. You're going to start feeling like, I'm behind. Anybody ever felt like behind? Right? So you really need to give yourself enough prep. In this case, our prep week is about 4 weeks, and that's what we're going to talk about first. Prep week for October is really ordering any open house marketing items that you like to have on hand, right? They're also good for those pop-buys. Order any marketing items you can't print yourself, but want to hand deliver. That's your door hangers, bags, door hangers itself, if you like to have them printed. That is any scratch-off postcards, any candy boxes, and customizing the templates. I'm always shocked how long it sometimes takes to make a template, even like an Etsy template, right? Fit my brand. All of a sudden, 2 hours are gone, and I've been hanging out in Canva. So if anybody's ever done that before, now you understand why prep week is so important. After prep week, though, first week of October hits, it's time to start having a plan. And the first week, what we all focus on, especially inside my training programs and everything we do, you take care of the people that have paid you already. You take care of your past clients. I know I talk a lot about farming, but I started off this specific class telling you that I make over 6 figures from my past clients, retention, and referrals. Okay? Why is that? Because I'm paying attention to them first. I'm not letting them think that they were just a transaction. I'm letting them know that they are a relationship that's important to me. So my attention first and foremost goes to my past clients and my SOI. If I don't do anything else this month, at least I did that. Okay. I'm always very amazed on how many people are like, oh no, I don't have anything in place for my past clients. It's like, so they literally were responsible for making sure that you are not struggling paying your mortgage, car payment, gym membership, food on the table, doesn't matter, right? The least that we can do as business owners is to value them and their time. So again, if I do nothing else all month long, this is the one activity that I will do religiously. So week 1, that's our SOI week. We're making sure we're preparing something for our past clients. And the way we divided it here on it is for you to figure out, okay, that makes sense. For my past clients, what do I want to do? So this side here has our manual actions on it. Okay, so manual actions, this is our little client card that you see here, right? Stick it in an envelope and send it out to them. For those of you that like to have things a little bit more automated, that one here is the postcard, and we will be sending this one out in October to our past clients and SOI. Push of a button. It doesn't matter if I send out 1, 10, 100, 1,000, right? It's same amount of effort for me. Automated, that has been freeing up my time. But week 1, SOI week, okay? Just make sure you take care of these people first and foremost. Now, optional, if you are having the opportunity to host an open house inside your neighborhood, we always encourage people to take that opportunity. Multiple reasons. A, you are able to put your open house signs up, right? Which is your brand. It's like a mini billboard that is going to be visible for hours. And we set up early. So we set up early in the morning, and then I have my open house typically running throughout about 4. And I take it down a little bit after that. Okay, so I have an entire day essentially of billboard time inside my neighborhood. So if you have an opportunity to do that one, we always encourage it. That is just one, that brand that you can do mini billboards. Reason 2, it gives opportunities to people that have been wanting to check you out. Just about 3 weeks ago, I've had somebody come into my open house and they were like, knock, knock. And I'm like, oh, hey, how are you? You know, let's just get you signed in. And they're like, oh, we're actually not here for the house. And I'm like, oh, you're here for me, huh? And they're like, oh, yeah, we are. I'm like, okay, that's getting awkward. I'm like, right. Turns out they were neighbors down the street. They had gotten one of my postcards before, opted in, gotten my home value box, and they were just there, and we scheduled a listing appointment. And no, they did not look through the house. They literally just walked in, set the appointment, and then walked out. So again, open houses give you an opportunity for people to actually come and see you. How many times have you thought about, "Oh, I wonder how to approach this. I wonder how to make the first move, right? Make the first contact. Do I just call? Should I email? Is there a different way to meet somebody?" And an open house is a great invitation for them to be like, "Hey, yeah, let's just see how she handles herself when people walk in," right? It's like your first anonymous job interview that you didn't even know you were on. So that is an optional item you could do in week 1 if you really wanted to jumpstart, right? Drop off these invitations and then obviously host the open house. Once that is done, we're going to move into week 2. Week 2 is my focus is on my farm. And focusing on my farm, obviously it's a lead gen pillar for me, meaning that the question is, how can I serve the people inside my farm the best? October being the beginning of Q4, it's pretty easy neighborhood stats. And I will not skip week 2 in October. Getting something out the door that they can see what's been going on in their neighborhood is really, really essential on that one. Again, automated. It could be a letter or a postcard. Manual, you can also do a letter on the manual side, or door hangers, right? Door to door. And if you don't want to do the traditional door hangers, just get those little bags and get that done as well. And again, if there's an open house opportunity, go and take it. The mentality of, I don't want to work weekends in real estate, I've never shared personally. I much rather go grocery shopping on a Tuesday and Wednesday when there's nobody at the store and consider that my days off. But when people are out and about, I prefer to be visible. All right, so that's the farm. Moving on from week 3. Week 3 is all about really use up the remaining marketing materials. It's not going to make you any money if you have items at your office that are not out there being seen. So, example, if you had an open house and you have like 10 door hangers left or door mailers, get them out to people, right? If you decided, hey, I want to have these cute little Popeye boxes because I've done an event and now you have 20 of them left over, get them out to people. The biggest thing here that we tell people, consider maybe dropping them off to people that have had home ownership time of 15 plus years, right? And obviously you could also hire somebody to do it for you. Just give them a list of addresses. It's easy enough to find, right? We have all access to tax records. Okay, who's owned their house for 15, 20 years? And then just make sure you drop off those 30 things to them and it's out of your office space and you can then go through it. All right, next up, week 4. And obviously this is very optional. We're just going to do, if you do want an additional touch, the 4x6s are great because at that point you spend a whole lot of money on marketing already. The 4x6 are easy just because they're very cost effective. Again, completely optional, of course. But if I wanted to do something extra, this is what I would probably do. I would use these cards as specific targeted list. So a specific targeted list, we call them micro campaigns. They can be a lot of things. You could have a micro campaign that is just targeting expired listings, right? A lot of people right now are starting to feel like, oh, the house is coming off the market. We're just going to wait till the next spring. Again, these are great to just use for expireds. We got most likely to move sellers, right? That's like AI driven. We've got homeowners of 20 plus years you could send them to. You could send them to your vendor partners. Again, just a couple different ideas of how to utilize them if you still wanted to continue on marketing. And of course, if you have an open house opportunity, go ahead and take it. Make sure you invite the neighbors to it because it always helps to get your name out. If you have the same listing, don't invite the same people 4 times that month, right? Spread out your marketing, invite that one street, 1 week, one street, another, one street, another week. Now, do you need to do all 4 weeks? The answer is absolutely not. If you want to, sure. Do you have to do them? No. But I do think at least at a minimum, 2 activities should be a must do. Your past clients obviously being one of them, your farm having 1 touch. Tony, you already have access to it. It's all in your portal. The course portal has everything for it. So you guys can just download that right there. Now, next up, I want to talk a little bit about tools and support. How do we actually run some of that? But you saw the what, right? I showed you all the templates. What is it that we can send? We talked about the when, right? How is it structured? And this doesn't change. SOI, farm, right? Use up anything you have that you want out if you're doing anything physical. And then week 4, is there an extra touch you want to add in? Generally speaking, I'm just very focused on 1 and 2. Like 1 and 2 are for me my must-dos, week 1 and week 2. And everything else is micro farming is extra. So what makes this all run smoothly, right? So some of you guys know we've created GeoCentral, which is essentially an all-in-one geographic farming tool for real estate agents. Because frankly, I was tired of duct taping my life together. I've had an open house sign-in sheet over here. I had a spreadsheet over there. I had Google Forms on this side. I had a Calendly over here, a CRM on this end, an email provider on that. And somehow I duct taped it together and it worked. I mean, it worked. My tech stack, I think, was roughly about $800 to $1,000 a month, which was absolutely insane thinking about it now, but didn't know any better. So this one here is really what came about for geographic farming. Now, for those of you saying, okay, this was great, I just need the templates, gotta go. There's a code, okay? So for those of you that came on late too, if you just wanna do the templates, boo30, we got very creative on this one. But then for the other ones, we're gonna talk a little bit about the 2 types of farming, and you gotta figure out which way you're gonna go, right? Traditional farming is the first one we typically talk about. Traditional farming is what got me started. Traditional farming is, personally, I think, what most people do when they start farming. They're like, let me just get something out the door, right? And eventually you'll get a whole lot smarter. So labor intensive? Yes, certainly. Worth it? 100% too. So this was me. For some of you that have seen this picture, this is what I call my 3-day campaign. It took 3 adults, 8 hours a day for 3 days to get 1,000 note cards printed. So I actually ran them through my office printer and printed on the inside. We stuffed them in envelopes, we sealed the envelopes, we adhered the return label, we adhered the address label, and then we stamped them with a bulk permit stamp. 3 days, 3 adults, 8 hours a day. Labor intensive? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. Do I know better now? Yes. Time is something very, very interesting, right? Now, when I first got started with direct mail, that's all the stuff I did. And if traditional farming is what you want to do, this is what you will do. And there's nothing wrong with traditional farming to get started. Ordering inventories, right? That's your envelopes, your note cards, stuffing envelopes, sealing and stamping, doing the paperwork, driving it down to the post office. And by the way, you will have leftover inventory guaranteed, meaning your office is always going to look like a paper bomb exploded. And I'm finally getting to the point where it's getting better because, again, I've been farming manually for quite some time, so I accumulated a lot of things. And then I don't like wasting things, so I had a hard time letting go. Not a hoarder situation, but you know, if I paid money for it, I want to use it. Anyhow, I did find a good cause for my note cards, and for some of you, you may be seeing them around pretty soon in November. Now, was it worth it? Again, 100%. But I also started looking for a better solution because frankly, at night, I was a little tired of sitting there watching a Netflix show and stuffing envelopes. My children were getting tired of, you know, constantly being asked to help. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get older. Eventually, I will need to find a different way to go about it. So that's where we created GeoCentral. So this one here is our print warehouse that we run on. We do run on the same printers and software. It's a company called Mailbox Power. So we run directly to print. It's over $500,000 of equipment sitting in our wonderful warehouse. And this has allowed me to just automate it. And not just automate it, but also do it a lot cheaper than what I did before, considering that my time really is not free, right? The whole business mentality of my time is free is just not true. So what we did here was we eliminated no more stuffing envelopes, no more trips to the post office, no more paying for postcards, no more paperwork, no more handwriting names. All of that was essentially solved all of a sudden. So essentially all that annoying stuff was gone and it felt pretty good. So we created a lot of systems on the back end to make sure that now the business was running about 80% on autopilot. And that is what allows my past clients to get a home anniversary, a birthday. It allows me to follow up with my leads. And that all happens over there, so I can be here. Pretty cool. Now, what does this mean? 80% automation sounds great. Doesn't mean anything. So I figured, let me really run through the things that I no longer do, right? My leads are automatically followed up with the minute they scan my QR code and they enter my world. Meaning I have actually not followed up with a lead physically since 2023. Pretty great, by the way. My buyer and seller email drips go out 365 days a year. I'm sure many of you have drips in place for the same reason. I do celebrate birthdays 365 days a year with a card, a birthday brownie, an SMS, and an email. I don't miss a beat on birthdays anymore, and I'm terrible on remembering birthdays. Home anniversaries, 365 days a year are we celebrating home anniversaries. And the nice thing is when you look at your database, right, what's happening is that your database grows every single year. In our sales story, I had a guy on one of my classes, and he said, we have about 400 past clients. He's been in business for a little while. We have about 400 past clients, and my assistant checks in with them I think every quarter, he said, and it takes her between 2 to 3 days. And he's paying for that, mind you, okay? He's paying for that. And he said he's seen how much more time this takes as his business grew. He's like, it's hard to keep up because if we're also busy with real estate, and this is on our agenda as well, right? We really are scrambling. Your business is always growing. Your past client database is supposed to grow, right? If that is happening, how are you going to keep up with it? If you have been in business for more than 10 years and you are on this call, are you still sending happy birthdays or happy home anniversaries to your first or second transactions? Do you remember that one, right? If you don't have a system around it, how are you going to remember it in 10 years? So that's where the premise all came about. And most of the things that we found online were all limited to set them up on a 3-year journey. Well, how good is 3 years going to do me to follow up with them if I just sold them the house? In 3 years, they're not going to be moving, right? So what is their long term? We've created pre-built lead gen funnels that are bringing in leads. My business posting is automated on our social media. So if you are looking at any of my business pages, might that be my real estate or might that be the hyperlocal agent, I actually don't post on any of those personally. I do post on my personal profile. So that's me posting, but everything else is automated and done. Referral thank you gifts. I actually just sent out an entire thank you gift to the entire family of somebody because all 4 people recommended me to this one new buyer client of mine. So push of a button, they all got a thank you gift. And now we're currently working on automating our closing gifts. So when I say closing gifts, it's not really a closing gift per se. It's a 2-year or 3-year closing gift journey. And it has one purpose, which is to train them to give me more referrals. Believe it or not, people can be trained to send more people your way. All right, so that's what this means, 80% automated. Did I set it up? Absolutely. I did set it up. Yes, it took me a little bit of work. However, the work that I put in gave me back my time down the road, right? This is how people are like, how are you so tan this summer? Because I don't have to hustle in order to keep up with my business generating tasks. Things are happening and I get to hang out at the beach. Not in this weird laptop lifestyle freedom, but in putting in the work here to see the results over there. Because once you put a system in that works, that doesn't break, you don't have to go back to it. There's no scramble, right? So for me, that is the freedom that I created. A lot of people always ask, well, should I hire a VA? Personally, my opinion is put a system in place first because training people is a whole lot harder than training a system. Now, the focus for me from here is really just appointments, right? You see here, this is our buyer box. This is our seller box. This is what we drop off. And then from there, when they're ready, they just call, hey, we got your box. Can you come over? Listing presentation, buyer consultation, that's all we focus on. And it's been pretty easy to just get them from A to sign. Now, the smart QR code technology, I haven't really talked a whole lot about yet, but that is what enables us to really automate a lot of it. They go and scan. Not only do I get the notifications, but I can set them up directly to figure out, okay, if they scan here, I want them on my buyer drip. If they scan here, I want them on my seller drip. And it allows me to not skip a beat with what I'm doing. So I don't have to go back and be like, oh, I have 5 leads. What am I going to do with them? It's already handled, right? I already know, oh, this scanned a seller postcard. They're going on my seller follow-up. They're being followed up with, and I continue grocery shopping. Now, some of you are like, okay, well, how much is that system? Again, you guys need to figure out where you're at in your career, okay? I paid some coaches, not even exaggerating, $16,000 for the year. Some of you guys have been in that same boat as well. So this is not what we decided to do. Not only that, but I was more than disappointed in what was there for $16,000. The way we approached it was to say, okay, we want to create a tool, right? The tool that solves the problems. So some of the comments here you see, and some of these people are actually on it. It's a matter of the duct taping that we've done in the beginning is gone. Okay, I told you I had an open house thing, I had an email provider, I had a CRM provider. So for us, the matter was like, how can we put it all into one system? And that system here comes out to 166 on our annual plan, by the way. But what can you get rid of, right? What is it that you can no longer need once you decide I have a system that does a lot of the things, because then you can also spend money on postcards, okay? We call this one here clear the plate, because so many of you are already strapped to the maximum. And if that is you, you're like, yeah, I got 5 different things I'm paying for. I do this, I do that. You're exactly in this boat I was in when I first started this entire journey of I got to fix what's broken. So let's do some mailer math for those of you. And then we're going to get to Andrea, I believe it was. Andrea had a question. Yes, there's stuff for high-end homes as well. Clara. Okay, I'm totally probably butchered your name. I'm sorry. All right, so let's do some mailer math. And I want you to think about one question first. Can you close one deal from postcards if you were to just mail your sphere and past clients, right? Like think about, okay, let's say you have 300 people that you could mail to. And if you say, I don't have that big of a sphere or past clients, okay, let's just assume we're going to adopt the homeowners in your farm that have been there for 30 plus years, okay? So let's do some math based on those. So 166, it's 1988 for the year. That's the tool. Now the assumption is going to be 300 postcards, okay, which would come out with current postage at 234. So let's put together 234 for postage. Yes, postcards print free. And the 166 comes out to roughly $400 a month invested so far into the tool and the postage, right? 2 things that you need, tool, postage, in order to make this work. Over the year, this would come out to roughly $4,800 a year. Okay, so you spend 300 postcards a month. You're going to send that for 12 months. That is 2,808. And then we're going to add this one in here because the tool, right? The tool, need the tool, need the postage. You're roughly at $4,800 a year, all in. If you're looking at a home price of roughly $438,000, can we, for argument's sake, assume a $10,000 commission? Some of you guys are like, oh yeah, there's nothing in my area for $438,000. So again, if it's less, think about 5,000. If it's more, think about 20,000. You know what you make on average, right? But for argument's sake, let's say the median house price somewhere is around $500,000, roughly $10,000 in commission. If you send 3,600 postcards to people that already know, like, and trust you, right? Past clients. Can you close one deal? Like, this is not difficult math, right? Or will they give you one referral? Will they give your name to somebody? Now, if you close it, that's obviously up to you, right? I'm assuming you can close the deal if somebody gave you a referral. 3,600 postcards. If you don't have a sphere, if you are mailing 3,600 postcards out to people that have owned their house for more than 20 years, will you get one listing out of this, right? That is the premise behind, will this work? Really just numbers. All right, now, obviously, yes, GeoCentral itself is not necessarily for everybody because some of you are still dabbling, right? And that's fine. And I always recommend for people, if you are not committing to geographic farming yet, gift yourself 30 days. And that's where, Andrea, your question was, what's the difference between, we have two tiers, right? One of them we call GeoCentral Lite, and one of them we call GeoCentral Pro. The Lite version itself is really just giving yourself the tool, the postcards, right? Plus this thing to send it out. Send it out, take the action. The Pro, you're looking at a whole lot of other things to build an entire business on it, right? This is where our SMS come in. This is where our emails come in. This is where our birthday gifts and everything come in. So there's a whole lot more on that one. So the hyperlocalagent.com/VIP, this is not a membership, okay? Because one of the things I hate is when I sign up for something and then I get charged as a membership. This is not it. So for those of you that are not GeoCentral Pro members, and some of you guys are, right? So the Pro members, this is not for you. This is for the new people. You can tell them how amazing the print portal is, but or feel free to ask. There's plenty of people on here. But this is for you to figure out 30 days. If you have not logged in 30 days to send out a postcard, this is probably not going to be for you the way it is structured. Okay? You need to actually log in and do it. I prefer that over walking my neighborhood. I prefer to do that in my pajamas at 10 o'clock at night over hitting the phone at 8 o'clock in the morning because there's an expired listing. I prefer to do that in the middle of, on a campground because my kids are still sleeping and I want to get just listed paper marketing done over me needing to figure out how to do it, right? Like I can do that literally from anywhere in the world. So again, this is for you to figure out, can you log in? Can you take action? Can you go do it? Because after 30 days, if you've done nothing with it, either you need a driver, you need to have a community that drives you to do it, in which case GeoCentral Pro might be a better way for you to actually just surround yourself with people doing the thing, right? Or you've proven to yourself that this is just simply not your style of marketing, in which case traditional farming might be it. Maybe you prefer going door to door. For some of you guys in Lab Coat Agents, if you're in that group, there's a gentleman in there and he loves handing out his flyers. Every morning, 6 a.m., he is out there and he's putting them on the mailboxes. For those of you that have read Ron's post, you know who he is, but that's his thing. That's what he likes to do. He gets up in the morning at 6. He's not retired, he's an agent, but he's just, that's his thing. That's what he does. That's his action. I'm a little bit more slower paced. I'll make breakfast for my kids first, right? Have my cup of coffee. But 10 o'clock at night, my kids are in bed. I'm like, oh, I can actually get some stuff done. I'm going to schedule that out and be done with it, right? So you just have to figure out what works for you. And the nice thing is I can train somebody to do it too. So now from here on out, it's just a matter for you to figure out where do you go from here, right? I told you every class I teach, I got really 3 objectives. Objectives are simple. Either you're going to have to learn more, right? You're like, okay, some of this makes sense. I still have questions. Maybe you have to learn a couple more things in our classes. Maybe you just want to read a book on direct mail. Maybe you're saying, you know what, this makes sense. Maybe I should take a class on step-by-step how to send out a postcard. That's our boot camp. So classes every Monday, lunch and learn, right? There's also a speed pass on our website you can look at for 30+ passes. If you are saying, okay, I need to get into action, big believer in leaders or readers. And if you're saying, okay, I've done the classes, something is missing, it's because you're not taking action. This is the cookbook. You got to cook a meal by actually doing the thing, right? That's why it's a boot camp, not a challenge. Question is, can you show up for 3 or 4 days straight to get it done? And it's really micro steps. So hopefully this was helping a lot of you guys to see the template, how we break it down on the calendar, and then what tools we use to automate it. Because if you're not automating it, it is manually farming. It is not hard per se. It's pretty simple. It just takes you to say, let's go and do it. Okay. So I know we ran over a little bit. Thank you guys so much for sticking with it. And let me cut the recording to make sure we got this one. So sorry about the beginning, but we made it through.